As an introduction to who I am, I was born in Oregon, but we moved to Kamiah when I was in the first grade, and I graduated from Kamiah High School in 1948. My name is William E. Chetwood, middle name Earl. I never liked Earl very well, but I learned to like it. My dad was Bill Chetwood, and he was a logger. And so I went to dental school by virtue of the fact that I wanted to be involved in this outdoor type of activity, and they seemed like a good way to earn a living and still have a chance to have some spare time. So I went to dental school and then was in the Navy for 2 years after I graduated, and came back here in 1958 to start my dental practice in Lewiston. So, and my interest in this, of course, has gotten much stronger as the dwindling fish runs continued. And so consequently, my hobby has turned into a passion, and I feel justified in the fact that especially if I can make some difference. And quite frankly, over the last 40 years, I haven't made much of a difference. But I'm encouraged that maybe people will suddenly wake up. Quite frankly, my experience at that time, although I was starting to get interested into the Northwest Steelheaders Association, I wasn't too active in that. I didn't pay much attention to the economy. Everybody was interested in the big idea about having slack water to Lewiston, and they were all kinds of promises about how they could take care of the steelhead runs with hatcheries. Nobody talked about the difficulty of the fish going back downstream or anything like that, because they didn't know, or apparently didn't know. And so it was without consideration, really. It was mostly economics. Get slack water to Lewiston was the big cry. Well, the growth, I think, especially during the construction of these dams and so on, was really good. I think we had a big shot in the economy. And then immediately afterwards, then we started having problems with siltation. We had problems with barging as a result of that. And so in the long run, it has not worked out to be a sustaining economy for our area. Well, I can remember the activity of the Northwest Steelheaders Association, and they were really active about that because of the effect that it had on the wild fish, but the assurances that the hatcheries were going to take care of all that mitigation process, nobody in the industry, the fishing industry, believed a word of it, but the economic interest was such that they pulled it off, and it has proven since then that they made a huge error, because those runs have diminished year after year after year. But at the time, the economy was running the opinion, and there aren't many people left that will admit that they made a huge mistake. There were all kinds of promises made that we were able to mitigate that with hatchery production. Well, what they found out is a hatchery, we can produce a lot of hatchery fish. Problem is getting them down through the slack water out to the ocean again and back. And with that much handicap, it's just not working. Not working at all. Every town in Idaho is affected because we don't have any fish. Tourism is huge. It has been a huge. You can look at the figures. I won't quote them because I can't remember the numbers, but it's a huge number of dollars that we used to get when we had anadromous fish that went all the way up the Snake River. And now we have the Snake River dams, and we have the ones above Lewiston, we have the ones below Lewiston, and it's affected the economy hugely, and the figures speak for themselves, and I don't need to go any further. I think we should spend $2 million for a couple of other studies. You know, they study it, And all the proven facts is that we are not gaining in this issue. So just keep studying it until they're all gone. These studies that they're doing have proved time and time again that transportation of fish, you got to get them to the ocean. And we're dealing with all these dams that are keeping these fish from getting to the ocean, keeping from coming back. And it's pretty obvious that if you want to run, then you have to do something about it besides writing papers. Is it fixed now for all the studies that we've had and all the work we've done and all the passages? No, it's not. It's getting worse, worse, worse. And we can keep writing papers forever. And unless we do something that is proven to be helping the passage of those fish in and out the river, we just will forget the whole thing. Primarily, if you're really ready to get rid of the fish and not make any kind of a decent environmental sacrifices, even of a small amount, then I have nothing I can continue to say about it. I've gone to the wall a number of times. I've lost a few friends over it, of course. But I guess I'm discouraged in a way. But the only thing that encourages me is that we do have still some people that are willing to go to the wall for something that we promised we could do. We put those dams in, assured people that we would be able to mitigate this whole process. We spent 45 years more trying to make good on that promise, and we have backed off on that promise every time. It's amazing that anybody still tries to do anything for the fish. I've seen the drawdowns, and I've watched what they try to do to make them look better, and it looks really bad right away. But you give this environment 2 or 3 years to get back, get the river's riparian area back in shape. It'd be a beautiful river between here and the Snake, or the Columbia, I'm sorry. So there's no question, it'll go right back the way it was. It was here thousands of years. That little change we've had over the last 50 years isn't going to change the environment that much. It'll come back. One of the things that I always want to stress when I'm going through an interview like this is I don't want to be part of the generation that is responsible for losing that anonymous fish run in the Snake River and upper reaches. I just don't want to be part of that. So it keeps me going, even though I'm tired and sometimes I don't get encouraged to continue. But I'm staying with it, and I hope that everybody else does too until we can actually see some results. I wonder how many people that ever stop and think, do you want to be part of wiping out the anonymous fish runs in the Snake River in Idaho? How many people think about that? Not many, I don't think. And that's a huge responsibility. Well, people don't care near as much about dollars as they do about emotions. And if they recognize that they're dealing with an emotional issue, maybe we can get something done.